Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. I hope you're having a fantastic day so far. So today I am going to be talking you through all of the swaps that I make coming into spring in my makeup bag. So I'm going to do one of these for like skincare and things like that as well, but today is just makeup. I'm going to talk you through all of my favourite things that I've been using over winter and how I like to change things up coming into spring, how the products that I use change, the looks that I create change, all of that good stuff. So let's start a tally. How many times do I say liquid blush or powder blush when I don't mean blush? I mean either bronzer or highlighter. Let's start a tally because it's a lot. Let's get into it. Already done my skincare. SPF is an absolute must in spring and summer all year round, but I do like to up it in spring and summer. Not that I need any of it today because it is the greyest, most miserable day today, but I'm trying to get myself in the spring spirit. So I'm going to be applying all of my favourite things for spring today. So I'm starting with foundation. In winter, I like quite a full coverage, more of a matte finish. Although my skin is drier, I like to have more of a matte finish in winter because I like to just have that more coverage. My skin has more problems. So over winter, I have been loving the NARS Natural Radiant Longwear Foundation. This is an all year round favourite, but I have really been reaching for it this past winter. And the e.l.f. Camo CC Cream. Really been reaching for this. I absolutely slated it when I first used it. I did a whole video just on this CC cream, hated it. But in the winter, I've really been reaching for it now that my skincare is a little bit better. So they're more matte, full coverage base products, and I like to switch it up to something a little bit lighter, more hydrating, less coverage. So the one that I'm going to use today is the Fresh Face Foundation from Barry M. I really like this, and they brought out more shades recently as well. I also really like the L'Oreal Skin Paradise Tinted Water Cream. I've used this recently on my channel, so I'm not going to use this today, but I'm going to go in with the Barry M one. That's probably too much, but it's a really nice finish. It's really lightweight and it just lightly blurs everything out. So as you can see, that has just knocked down the redness a little bit. You can still see all of my freckles, you can still see these little breakouts down here, you can still see my dark circles, but it's just evened everything out a little bit. It feels like nothing on the skin. I know that this lasts really well all day, even if it's really hot, which isn't today, and it just looks really natural. I don't know how well you'll be able to see from how far away you are, but it just looks like skin, but just a little bit perfected. Like, it really does just look fresh. So next I go in with concealer. This is the Lasting Perfection Stretch Concealer, and I basically just use this under the eyes. I don't like to conceal, like I have some breakouts and things down here, remnants of, but I don't necessarily need to cover them up. I'm not offended by them. They can live there. They'll go away quicker if I just leave them alone. So I just want to target this inner corner here, same as always, and this is such a nice coverage and a nice feeling on the skin. I have been through 3 of these tubs. This is in the shade 4 Extra Fair. While it's still freezing cold outside and I have no tan on, that is the perfect shade for me. I know it looks a bit light, but I like to highlight with it, so 4 is perfect for me at the minute. I will move on to 5 in the summer, and I just take, this is actually a contour brush from Real Techniques, but this is my favourite brush to use for concealer. Now I would actually say that the foundation, it says on it that it's like a dewy finish. I wouldn't necessarily agree with that. It's not a matte finish, it just looks natural. Like, I don't think my skin looks particularly glowy. Obviously it looks highlighted because I've put that light concealer down the centre of my face, but I wouldn't say that it's a really glowy, dewy, juicy look. I would describe it more as a natural finish, but I have really dry skin, so maybe that's got something to do with it, I don't know. The concealer adds a bit of that sort of dewy, juicy finish, but I would say that the foundation is more of a light coverage, natural finish. So this concealer is one that I use in winter and in summer. I can't rave highly enough about this. If you've got dry skin and you need concealer under your eyes, this is the best one. So next is cream contour and bronzer. I love the e.l.f. putty blush. Bronzer. I truly do. But recently I've been reaching for a different one, and I wrote a blog post about this product when I very first got it, absolutely slating it. I hated it. It didn't work for me. I couldn't get it to work on my skin. It looked patchy. It looked awful. But now I figured out how to use it. It's so good. So although I used the e.l.f. putty bronzer in winter, and I will still use in spring and summer as well, I've been reaching for this one. The colour is just perfect on me at the minute. So this is the XX Revolution Cream Bronzer in the shade Inspire. I absolutely hated this when I first tried it, but I've been trying it out with different brushes. So when I very first tried it, I think I was using something like this. I was using like a powder brush basically, and it was just not picking up any product. It wasn't blending out the product because it's quite firm. So I picked up instead the Expert Face Brush from Real Techniques. So this is a lot more dense, it's a lot more tightly packed, and this just blends out the cream bronzer perfectly. I also use this brush with the e.l.f. putty bronzer. Why do I keep saying that wrong? The e.l.f. putty bronzer. It's because I've got the blush in front of me. Spoiler. So I just get some of that on my brush and warm up the face. I remember hating it and just not being able to get it to work, but now I love it. It just gives such a natural finish. Like, that just looks like I've been out in the sun for a little while, and I love that. And it's so quick. I would say that this is quicker than my putty blush. Bronzer. Why do I keep saying that? Because the colour is lighter and more bronzy, whereas the putty bronzer is more of like a contoury shade, especially on me. So for blush, I spoke about this so much over winter. The e.l.f. putty blush in the shade Tahiti with the Milani baked blush in the shade Berry Amore over the top was my absolute go-to over winter. These two together just gave the most beautiful finish on the skin. It would last all day. It would go with any like eye look or lipstick or anything. I absolutely loved it. And these would go over the top of like any foundation really nicely. But I like to change up the colour of my blush quite a lot in summer. So I obviously picked up the e.l.f. putty blush in the shade Bora Bora. I also have recently been trying this one from Barry M. This is the Fresh Face Cheek and Lip Tint from Barry M. This is in the shade Summer Rose. I have been loving this. This is the one that I'm going to be using today. The colour of it is just the most beautiful baby hot pink. Is that even a thing? I don't know. But it's just so pretty and it blends out really nicely. So this is a Real Techniques buffing brush, and it's just the most beautiful fresh colour for spring. I want to pick up some more shades in this because it's so pretty. So those are my like cream base products. Now I like to go over the top with powder products. So I have been reaching for 2 bronzers for the last month or so religiously. So this is the Kiko Baked Bronzer in the shade Lost in Amalfi 01. This is a beautiful like marbled, slightly shimmery but in a really beautiful subtle way. But the one that I'm going to be using today is the Physicians Formula Butter Bronzer in the shade Bronzer. They have different shades for different skin tones, and this is a matte powder, but it has a glow to it. It gives a glow to your skin. Over winter, I've been using this one from Revolution Pro, which is the sculpting bronzer in the shade Cacao. And you can see that I have Hit Pan in the middle there, and I really, really like this. I do use this in summer as well when I want to be extra glowy, and I did use it all last summer as well. But I think that these like lighter, closer to my skin tones will be what I reach for more in the summer this year. So I'm just going to start warming up the face a little bit more with the butter bronzer. And because it's a lighter shade, I find that it just, you can't go overboard with it. I mean, I definitely could if I tried, but it's easier to like build up. And I also take this like across my whole eyelid just to merge everything together. So like I said, I top the putty blush in winter in this Milani one. In summer, I like to top whatever blush I'm using with this one. This is the Flower Beauty Flowerpot powder blush in the shade Wildrose. It is the most intense pop of bright pink, and I love it. I'm just going to use the same brush actually and tap that over the top of where I put that Barry M liquid blush. So as you can see, that just gives a really beautiful soft flush to the skin, and it just looks really natural and like I've been out in the sun, which I definitely have not been. So for highlighter, this doesn't really change. I sometimes add in a liquid highlighter, but winter, summer, whenever, this is my favourite highlighter. This is the Revolution Highlighter Reloaded in Just My Type. It works no matter what look I'm doing. It's the perfect tone if you are pale like me. I do sometimes like to add a liquid blush underneath a liquid highlighter. Why do I keep saying blush? Got blush on the mind. So I will add a little bit of this today, and I have found that the best way to do this, to add the liquid highlighter, whether or not I'm going over the top of powder or not, I like to put it onto my sponge rather than dabbing it onto my face. I find that it can look a little bit chunky, whatever liquid highlighter you're using. So this is the Revolution Bright Lights highlighter in the shade Strobe Champagne, and it is quite intense. So that's the liquid highlight on. I will just go in with a little bit of the powder highlighter over the top just to set it in place. Not that it needs it, but I need it, okay? I need it. So next is eyebrows. So this doesn't change. Winter, summer, spring, autumn, said those in completely the wrong order, but this does not change. The Eyelure brow pencil in dark brown firm pencil. Look how tiny that is, and that's like that much because this bottom half is just the spoolie. And actually in winter I had been using the Revolution Pro Sculpt brow gel in the shade dark brown, but I prefer this one. This is the e.l.f. Wow Brow in the shade brunette. It builds up your brows. They look so natural. It's the most incredible finish. They look fluffy, but they look natural, but they look done. It's so good. If you have fair brows like me, then you will love this. I always thought, oh yeah, it's one that I'd like to try. I'm never going to be without this. This is so good. So I'm going to fill in my brows. So brows are done. Now eyeshadow. Eyeshadow, yeah. Let's move on to eyeshadow next. So in the winter, I have been loving the cool tones. I've been loving purples and greens and a little bit of colour, but not too much. I've been reaching for these two palettes the most. So in winter, I've been loving the NYX Ultimate Eyeshadow Palette in the shade Ultimate Utopia. So you can see that these are like cool tones. I did do a look using this palette. I will link it above. And I've also been loving the Mauves by Juvias. So you can see that those two are like quite similar in that they're like the muted, cooler tones. loving both of these. Will obviously continue to use these in spring, but I like more of a warm tone in the warmer weather, so I have picked out this one to use today. This is the Warrior by Juvias, and it's just the most incredible warm brown tones, and I'm not going to be able to pronounce any of these names, but basically all I want to do today is something quite simple, because I am like going out and going about my day, so I don't want to do something too crazy. So I'm going to go in with this shade, and this shade. So these two through my crease, maybe a little bit of like liner with the dark brown. I wish there were more matte shades in this, because I feel like this one and this one are quite similar, and I feel like these two are quite similar, and this one as well is quite similar. Like, I just feel like the shimmers are all quite similar, and the mattes are so different from one another that I feel like I wish there was a shade in between these two. I also feel like there should be a shade in between these two, because it's quite a jump from that to that. Do you know what I mean? But I'm going to just make a very basic brown smoky eye, so bear with me. So that is just the matte shades. One thing that I will say is, because the like space in between all of the shades is quite big, like I'd managed to dip into both of these with my brush and then like stamp it in between, in the space in between the shades, to like mix it together on my brush. So I did that to make like the darkest colour on the outer corner there. I will just do a little wing. That is something that I like to do quite a bit in spring and summer. I like to switch up my eyeliner from a black to a brown. I just find that it's more soft, and well, it is more soft. Obviously it's a softer colour, but it just, I don't know, it feels more summery to me. So I'm just going to pack on a little bit of that shimmer. So this is the shade Amina, and I'm just taking a little bit of the centre shade, the lightest one, Moremi, on the inner corner of my eye, just to highlight that. Those shimmers are beautiful. They're blending out really nicely. They almost look like foil. They're pretty. And I find that the brown really brings out the blue in my eyes, which I love. So that's all I'm doing on the eyes today. Nothing crazy. Not that it ever is, but nothing new, nothing groundbreaking today. And then lipstick. So all winter long I have been loving the Riche Matte Blush in a Rush. This is a beautiful blush pinky colour. Really, really comfortable, even though it's a matte, but I like that fresher, more glowy look in spring and summer. And I didn't even put this lipstick in my spring lipstick roundup video. I will link that up here. But this is the Riche Shine in Watermelon Plump. They have reformulated, not reformulated it, because I think it's the same product, it's just got a new name. So I will link it down below, whatever it's called now. I think they've just got new names, and it's called Plump'n Shine. No, Plump'n Glow rather than Riche Shine. I think it's something like that. Anyway, but this is a beautiful red, but it's like a corally sort of softer red. Like, it looks quite intense in the bullet. It just feels like a lip balm, but it's a beautiful colour. It is lightly plumping in that it tingles a little bit, feels a little bit, just a teeny bit. Instead of like this, it's like this. You know? It's not painful at all. It just feels really nourishing, really comfortable. For mascara, I don't change that up depending on the weather. It is just whatever I want all year round. I have lots of favourites. Today I'm going to use the Lash Sensational from Maybelline. This is just a basic, very, very good mascara. There's nothing bad about it. It lasts really well all day. There's nothing, nothing crazy about it. I think everybody in the country, or every makeup wearing person in the country, has tried this at this point. So I'm not going to bang on about it. So that is the mascara done, and at this stage I would just assess if I needed anything more. I think because I've got brown on the eyelids, I feel like I need a little bit more bronzer just to balance out and warm up the rest of the face, like in balance. Yeah, that looks better, doesn't it? Just a little bit warmer. So that is me done for the day. I know these products, none of this is new to me. I know all of these products really, really well. I know that these will last really, really well all day, even if it's hot, which it isn't. I'm freezing. I need a cardigan on immediately. Get me a cardigan. So this is me done. I'm going to go about the rest of my day. So if you want to see more makeup videos, more testing, more looks, I have like so many ideas buzzing around in my head. So if you want to see more videos from me, then subscribe down below. If you liked this video, then please give it a big thumbs up and comment down below. That really does help me out a lot. And until next time, thank you so much for watching. Bye.